We are back. You're watching CNN. I'm Brooke Baldwin, and as we cover, as we continue our special coverage, rather, not to be lost in all of this chaos, there have been two assassination attempts on two former presidents. That is extraordinary and horrifying, yet the current president has not mentioned them by name in public, nor has he reached out to them. And there is a precedent for how former presidents react to any kind of terrorism. Bush 43, of course, defending Islam immediately after 9/11. And Bill Clinton, let me take you back to 1993, defended his successor against an Iraqi plot to assassinate Bush 41 in Kuwait.
My fellow Americans, this evening I want to speak with you about an attack by the government of Iraq against the United States and the actions we have just taken to respond. This past April, the Kuwaiti government uncovered what they suspected was a car-bombing plot to assassinate former President George Bush while he was visiting Kuwait City. This attempt at revenge by a tyrant against the leader of the world coalition that defeated him in war is particularly loathsome and cowardly. We thank God it was unsuccessful. The authorities who foiled it have the appreciation of all Americans. It is clear that this was no impulsive or random act. It was an elaborate plan devised by the Iraqi government and directed against a former president of the United States because of actions he took as president. As such, the Iraqi attack against President Bush was an attack against our country and against all Americans.
I asked my team to pull this clip this morning because in this extraordinary moment, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, humanity. This is about the right thing to do. So let me bring in CNN presidential historian Douglas Brinkley, also Rice University history professor. And Doug, I bring up the Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush example because that is what presidents are supposed to do.
Well, I'm so glad, Brooke, you played that clip of Bill Clinton because that's exactly what Donald Trump should have done, talk directly to the American people. After all, the president is a public information officer. There's a lot of confusion going on now. Imagine if you worked in a post office today. Imagine if people all over the country are looking suspiciously at their packages. And President Trump's determined to be a one-note person, which is midterm elections are coming up and I represent the Republicans. He needed to have pivoted and addressed the country. He should have made a phone call to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, George Soros, and the others. He should have talked to Jeff Zucker at CNN. It was a moment to heal the country, pull it together, and explain what's happening, sort of like Governor Cuomo did in the first part of his interview with you. But alas, Donald Trump is all about winning in the midterm, and he sees this as a political trick, so he's avoiding being presidential.
Governor Cuomo saying that Trump did call him, but again, President Trump, listening to him, hasn't reached out, hasn't called former Presidents Obama and Clinton, didn't even mention them in his speech last night. And I just wanted to take a moment, Douglas, you've covered president after president. How extraordinary is it that there was an assassination attempt against two of the 6 living presidents in the very same day?
It's truly unprecedented. It's a horrific event that's occurred. We have political terrorism going on right now. The president keeps talking about people from Honduras eventually showing up at the border. But in our country now, there is a bomber that has been sending, so far 10 packages out there. 2 presidents with assassination attempts. The whole world is watching. And we have a largely mute Donald Trump. He just doesn't want to believe this is happening. And so, it's never a good idea in a national crisis for a president to be flippant. I remember when George W. Bush, right when Katrina hit on August 29th, 2005, continued to give a speech in San Diego and on foreign affairs and then played air guitar. And he was roundly criticized for that. You have a situation here where Donald Trump did a little bit in Wisconsin last night talking about what's happening and then did a typical political rally. He seems to be refusing to embrace this as a very serious crisis of domestic terrorism.